Hey, um, I don't know if you know that I have been running within my private circle of one-to-one clients 30 days of taking a break from daily sugar consumption. We have actually been eating sugar every week in a very controlled workshop environment. The idea has been to try and unaddict ourselves from constant foraging for sugar, to really call ourselves out on all of the thoughts that have been um, justifying needing sugar, rewarding ourselves with sugar, needing sugar for an energy boost, all of this kind of stuff. And at the same time, to try and reconcile ourselves to a food which may have been very off limits for us in previous diets, and try and learn to eat it with a sense of actual honesty about how it feels in our body to eat it, about whether the pleasure really matches our expectation of the pleasure, and also with real authority over our decisions to eat that ourselves, right? Now, the idea of these 30-day break from sugar has not been to take a lifelong break, but really to allow our metabolism to reset, to allow our insulin levels and our body's ability to process sugar to calm down, but also to allow the brain to get out of its habit loops of saying constantly, hey, you need a snack, hey, you need a treat. And I have really I'm really appreciating at this point the amount of mental clarity that I have around it. And from this place of like not being so in the throes of wanting, liking too much all of the time, I'm starting to step back from sugar and seeing it in a slightly different light and trying to weigh up, okay, well, what in my life, the rest of life, I'm hoping to have another 40 years, what what role would I like sugar to have? Do I want to be able to have a slice of birthday cake? Do I want to be able to eat it weekly, daily? Is there some sugary stuff which is worth it, in my opinion? Others not. How will I manage my mind around it? Um, and in a process of making that decision, I started digging around on the internet and looking at like sugar and the environmental impact of sugar. And this is a dimension that I have not explored before. I'm not really well versed on food ethics and climate and global politics. And if you are, I'd love to hear from you about how this fits in with the work and the research and the passions that you have in your personal life that relate to it, right? I'd love to hear more about this. Um, what I've discovered shocks me and gives another dimension. I'm going to read you a little bit from a study which I've actually linked to in the in the summary of this, in the description of this video. Actually, it's perhaps wrong to call this a study. This is from a food research collaboration, okay, and it's more of a summary of existing research and existing profiles on what sugar is. But I'd like to read you this part. That sugar is responsible for the largest land clearance of all crops. And a lot of that land clearance was historical in the colonies, and some of it continues as those plantations continue to widen. This study says that 30 million hectares are devoted to sugar plantations in 120 countries. And Much of the literature on sugar production and environmental sustainability comes from places like the World Wildlife Fund, and there isn't a great deal of independent peer-reviewed research. The World Wildlife Fund claims that sugar may be responsible for more biodiversity loss than any other crop due to its destruction of habitat to make way for plantations, its intensive use of water for irrigation, its heavy use of agricultural chemicals, and the polluted wastewater that is routinely discharged in the sugarcane production process. And there's part of the environmental picture which is coming through as well, which is also about burning of sugarcane stubble as well. But for many countries, sugar is one of the most important sources of national income. In 2011, the world trade on raw sugar was worth 47 billion, and of that total, 33 billion of exports was from developing countries, with 12.2 billion from developed countries. However, most producers in low-income countries do not capture any added value from sugar, and they rarely capture the additional value when prices increase, as raw sugar is usually shipped in bulk to refineries. Once refined, sugar is converted into a high-value product and governed by codex standards. This is maintained because trading houses are the only true global players in the sugar industry. They are highly integrated, often controlling both production and processing. 80% of EU sugar beet processing capacity, and the majority of the EU sugar market is controlled by 5 companies. I just think it's really affecting to think that this thing that we think of as being a treat and that we feel so in the grip of as a society, and that we have marketed so vigorously to our society and to our kids and to everybody as being, and I am not saying by any stretch sugar is bad, or sugar is evil and you should give up sugar and we should all be sugar free. I'm not saying that, and I never ask my clients to go sugar free. I never tell them you've got to give it up. But I know that many of us feel a bit mad around it. And I think it's so interesting that this thing that we think of as being a happy thing associated with so much love and sentiment, give someone a box of chocolates to say thank you, give them a birthday cake to let them know you love them, give them Valentine's chocolates because it's romantic, give them Christmas chocolates so they know that life is good. It's associated with all of this exchange of love, maybe doesn't have greater love behind it, love for our planet and love for fellow human beings in other countries as well. That's it. That's my guilt trip for the day. I can't go further. I can't make this right. I don't know what action I would take, but I do know that, some of the decisions that we make on a daily basis perhaps have further reaching effects than we could possibly know. And perhaps considering our consumption from a variety of angles can help us arrive at decisions around it that we feel really comfortable with.